Hey, what's up, guys? Rampedi here. It's very clear to understand that Rome was not built in a day. Let's go.
That's how it goes?
They keep asking about the best when they know it's me.
Okay.
Asking about the rest when they know it's me.
Straight in, I guess.
You know it's me.
Loads of action took place this past weekend, but we fly over to Naturena, what they're building over there. And Amakosi were humbled this past weekend by SuperSport United. They didn't play so well. They didn't play well enough to get the win, in my opinion. And, I think this will do good for Nabi. Nabi in the sense of he's going to get a sense of the players. He's going to learn the league because the teams that play in this particular way. And as well as for the players, I think it's a learning curve for them in the sense of you guys are not there yet. You have to do it over a period of 10 months and not just 2 games. That's what I would say. I spoke to someone in the industry, right? Someone prominent in the industry, someone who is within this football spaces. I don't want to necessarily reveal their identity as yet due to confidential reasons. But I was speaking to him and I thought to myself, hey, Chiefs are doing well, right? I mean, Chiefs are on the ball. They're doing the most. And he was like, you know what's funny? Chiefs are not playing well. And I was like, he must be a hater. This guy must be a hater. But he said Chiefs are not playing well, but they're getting results. And when I watched Kaizer Chiefs score the 4-0 against SuperSport, I thought, actually, from what I'm seeing, yes, they got 4 goals. Yes, they were clinical, but the Chiefs really play so well. And I don't think that they played that well. And I think it's very key for fans to know this because let's get things right. Fans can sack the coach, if they want. If they feel like the coach is not there, they start throwing things, it gets really crazy, it gets really violent, which is not right, then eventually the management have to act. But fans need to know that it's great to have results, but the team is not at where Nabi would like it to be. So in other words, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news for you guys. And the good news is that I think the glory days are going to come. But it's going to take some time. The bad news is that result against SuperSport will not be the last one. I think there will be many more of those where Chiefs will be humbled because this squad is not the one that Nabi wants. This squad is not necessarily good enough to compete for major honors. That's what I would say. But there's a quarterfinal this coming weekend. That's against Mamelodi Sundowns. And I would suggest to the Amakosi faithful, if you want Amakosi to get any closer to bringing silverware to Naturena, I would suggest that you put that result behind of SuperSport. And even if it happens as another bad result tomorrow, I would suggest you get behind the team. On this show, we invite industry names, we invite the big players, and we ask them the serious questions. And this week is absolutely no different.
Another big guest on Playing the Field with Shakes, guys. This guy is known as a broadcaster, he's a football writer, he produces content, and he hosts his own show as well called Lekoko La Space. We know him as Koketo, Mokane, but he's also known as Lekoko. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm writing yourself, Shakes, man. It's been a while.
It's been a minute, eh? You're always asking the questions. Now we're asking you the questions now.
Yeah, and funny enough, I enjoy being this side of the mic. Like being asked questions is what I really enjoy because there's so much that I have in here and I want to share. But hey, I can't because hey.
But the thing is, you're always asking the questions, and I'm thinking someone would think that he's on a show, he's the host of a show, he's hosting his own show, even on Twitter Spaces. You're sort of wondering, you would think people would think, because you do it so well, that's what you like to do. Kati, you want to be the guy who answers as well.
Yeah, but I asked the question. I think the reason I started asking the question is because there was so much that I wanted to know, man. I made peace with the fact that you can't know everything. And I'm not a guy just chills and is content with not knowing, because I'm so much invested in this league. There's so much I want to know. And I said, I know I'm not going to be left wondering. I'm always going to go and search for the answers. So I never want to have an opinion based on things that are not factual. So I always try and form my opinion on facts. So I go to the source and I ask answers. I'm never left wondering. If I see something is wrong or something is right, I ask. I mean, I even asked, I was like, why was Papa handing out a trophy for Kaizer Chiefs? I didn't know, And I was like, okay, cool. Let me go ask. Then I asked him. So, yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, out of quickness, because of people who actually might not know, in all honesty. Obviously, Papa was known as to be a fan. Why was he handing out a trophy, having to stand next to the sports minister? If you can shed the light.
Yeah, quickly. He says after the game that they played against Marumo, after Kaizer Chiefs played against Marumo, he was hit up by I think a C squared, if I'm not mistaken, C squared manager, one of the people that are sponsoring the leagues, the trophy rather. And then he asked him, he's like, we've seen you, we've profiled you as the best ambassador for the trophy. Would you be keen? And it's like, I never thought about it that way as an ambassador. And I was like, oh, cool, let me jump in, let me do it. So he was actually the ambassador of the trophy. But yeah, so it shows the growth and it shows, being visible as a fan. It shows what it is that the tournament is all about. So yeah, big ups to them.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's obviously like a good thing in terms of having to have a fan that goes into these spaces. And then you can see that the more you become more prominent on social, you get into these spaces. But now you sort of ask yourself, like, now we're getting to a situation where they're standing next to like sports ministers and handing out awards to footballers. Is there a part that you sort of ask yourself, like, okay, it's fine that Lekoko can be at an event and post about the event, but now because of your influence on social, we're going to put you next to someone as prominent as a sports minister to give out an award to actual professional footballers. I mean, what does that say? When you read that, you're like, oh, great, people are moving up? Or do you think like, hey, man, guys, like there's spaces for these things?
Yeah, I initially thought about it and I said there are spaces for these things. There are spaces and there are times and there are people for these things. But what this then says to me about these things is the fact that the gap is getting smaller and smaller. Because ultimately you want to bridge the gap. It says, one, the minister is available for the people. The minister sees himself as one of the people. I mean, he could have shut that trophy and said, this trophy is just the friend that is being played, So it says a lot about the minister, more than it says about the fans. I mean, it's not like you're going to see a fan handing out a trophy of the empty name, or you're going to see a fan handing out the Carling knockout, so those type of things. So it says a lot about the minister and the minister that we have. So he'll always be aligned with the people that we see.
No, I love what you're saying about it bridges the gap. I think it obviously brings the people and it brings the industry closer to one another. And I think that's where we need to go. But seeing that you like to answer the question, then we must ask you the question, my man. Orlando Pirates can't say, what's a hala? 5 league wins in a row. What's going on there when you look at that picture?
Hey, you look at the fixture, you say 5 leagues in a row, and you say, Emmanuel, let me check what's happening. Like, hey, 4 home games. Like, hey, there's something there, But yeah, it has happened with Sundowns as well. I guess it's a matter of congestion. The only strange thing for them would be the fact that it's happening in the early stages of it. Now it's not really heard of. But yeah, it's computer generated, these things. My biggest criticism of this computer that's generating these fixtures for Orlando Pirates is the fact that it seems to have not generated so much of a test for them. But, you look at the fixtures that they're going to play, you look at the 5 block that they've played, and you're like, who's really testing them there? And you're like, okay, let's move on. And you look at the next 5 block, you say, oh, actually, now they're getting their first test in Stellenbosch. And you're like, okay, computer, no. Yeah, try and do better next time, because computer, you look at computer and you say, okay, Kaizer Chiefs has had a tough test in Sundowns, has had a tough test in SuperSport in their first 5 blocks. Sundowns has had a tough test in Kaizer Chiefs. They're going to have another tough test in City,
Are you saying the computer is a buccaneer?
No, not necessarily computers are buccaneer. I mean, computers it's algorithm. It's ones and zeros. So I'm just saying the computer was we would have loved to see better fixtures for Orlando Pirates, the test. I mean, you look at the EPL and you say, hey, everyone is playing everyone. City has played Chelsea. City has played, Chelsea has played. Liverpool has played. They will play United. They've played, the big teams.
The funny thing is that the picture at this current moment, it looks very beautiful. It looks very pretty, this picture at this moment. 5 league wins in a row. I just had a look there. Their first 10 league games that Pirates are going to play, 7 is at home. 7 is at home. And I'm thinking like, okay, maybe the picture could look pretty going into December, but I mean, are we bracing ourselves for the picture to change drastically from January to May? Because then that means they're going to be playing a lot of away games consistently.
No, I hear what you're saying, and considering the fact that they also have to travel for Champions League, they'll have to to Casablanca. They have to go there. They have to find a permanent residency there in Casablanca. The way they're going to be visiting that place, So you ask yourself and say, okay, cool. Is the picture going to change? I've always maintained that I think the points gap between last season and what they're trying to achieve this is too big. 23 points is too big a gap for them to have to close it like that. But if they start well, and if they are currently they're on top, 3 points clear, and you look at that and you say, hey, maybe the fact that they've accumulated so many points and the fact that they top of the log will make them be as serious as one would expect of the league title challenges. I still think they're going to finish in the early 60s, 61, 62, and Sundowns probably in the mid to the late 60s. Sundowns will drop points that they've accumulated last season. It was just unheard of. It's something that should have never happened like that.
Never happened.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon, So, but I think answering your question, I don't think the picture will change much because there's something to play for. Because last time when they checked and they say, hey, Papara, Sundowns was gone, what's there to play for? There's a 7 points gap, there's an 8 points gap. But this time around, things will be different. I don't think it will change much. But the travel will take its toll because Jose has even started indicating the fact that the team is fatigued. And you look at it, right? Fatigued in so few games. Maybe. So that could be their factor. But yeah, they have a spot to go for.
I mean, he's already been rotating. He's already been able to get results, but I think it's also because he's playing at home. But now there's another coach there, Klorkop as well, who's rotating in these last couple of games. And I'm asking myself, Kande, why is Manqoba rotating in the way that he's been rotating in these last couple of games? I know the likes of Rivero was suspended, but I mean, the last couple of games, Royal M and Polokwane City, he rotated a lot. Why?
To be fair to Manqoba, let's be fair to him. Yes, he's been rotating, but the Polokwane City game, you look at it and you say, Mabena's in the lineup, not because he's starting. Yes, he's had a decent match prior to that, but he's starting because he's covering somebody that's injured. You look at the people that are coming in. I think they forced mainly because of injury. Yes, Rashim Duruk, he's starting because maybe he's getting his first match. You want to have a squad that's been playing. But going back to the rest of the question in terms of his rotation policy that he's trying to implement, you then say, I don't see it being sustainable. It's not sustainable. You can't chop and change. There are positions where chemistry has to be maintained. Positions such as your central middle field. There you have to build the chemistry. It's based on chemistry. You can have two great players, but if chemistry, I'm not. And there's nothing you're going to do about it. So it catches up.
But now the question I want to ask is that I don't think we've ever had a scenario where Pirates has obviously started like this. Maybe if you go back to Micho Rolani days, perhaps when they were also chasing.
No, it's never happened.
It's never happened, right? So now I'm thinking myself, Sundowns in the last 7 years. Last 7 years, league title with Peter Mshmane, league title with Rulani and Manqoba, league title with Rulani on his own. Now Manqoba stepping in, he's the sole man at this kind of moment. I mean, would losing the league to Bucks be grounds for him to walk?
No, it doesn't even have to go to him losing the league, getting to the end. Him battling to challenge for it, or there being a significant gap between number one and him. You don't even have to wait for the league to end. You would say you've been there. You counting all these people, and the constant feature is Manqoba. He's there. He was there when everyone was winning these trophies. It shouldn't even be negotiable. Like the league should not even be something that is staple. The league should be staples of Sundowns. If you fail to win, be consistent enough to win, you gotta go. And I think he also comes into, unfortunate for him, he comes into a Sundowns that has to win the league, and they have to win the Champions League as well. So you're trying to tweak something so that you can make it work for the Champions League, but at the same time, it might hamper the league. You have an Orlando Pirates that's awoken, and they're looking at go. They're going at it. There are rumors of Jose going, so he might want to say farewell with the league title. And we know Orlando Pirates wins titles in bulk. So they accumulate in bulk and then they take a break from winning them. This could be it. But it doesn't have to even wait for Coach Manqoba to get to the end of the season. If midway there's no signs of him, challenging properly for the league.
No, 100%. And those are the two teams that are challenging. Then obviously there's the gold and black that's going on. And I must tell you, now I can't reveal the name of the person that I spoke to, but I spoke to someone very prominent within the industry, and he told me Kaizer Chiefs are actually not playing well. They're actually getting results. And I thought, I kind of wonder what he meant by that, right? And then I watched them against SuperSport, the 4-0. And I thought, oh, actually, I see what he's talking about. Then they lose this game, and I thought they didn't play well either. When you watch Kaizer Chiefs, they're not as good as what people think. It just happens that Nabi was getting results early on, right?
I agree with that. I agree. But it's the nature of transition football. You can't expect it to be pretty. Transition is precise. It gets the job done, and that's it. You look at the Kaizer Chiefs goal that Sirino scored against SuperSport, and you can literally count the number of passes with one hand, and that's it. But it gets results because you realize a lot of teams in the PSL take time to recoup. A lot of teams are not as disciplined, especially a lot of teams in the PSL get excited the minute they go forward. They just lose shape. They get excited. All they think about is scoring. Them losing the ball and having to recover, it takes time. So yes, I do agree. Nabi ball is not. They call it Taliban. Taliban football
Taliban
is not where. Yeah, it's not as pretty as everybody else think it is, but it gets the job done, and it should. He's what I appreciate about Nabi is the fact that he has learned where Kaizer Chiefs is, and he has accepted where Kaizer Chiefs should be. And he's saying we're going to build, but as in us building, we're not going to build just looking at everybody else winning things. We have to try and win things on our own. And yeah, he's applied that model that Stuart had, the former Kaizer Chiefs coach, where they'll play transition and they'll beat you and they'll score. They'll outscore you at any time because they'll get 4 chances and score 3. You'll be coming at them and they'll just be looking at you. Yeah, so I agree with whoever you had a conversation.
No. I mean, how crucial will it be that, like, it seems like Nabi knows where the squad is, but do the fans know where the squad is? Because suddenly, one loss already, suddenly fans can turn so quickly. How crucial is it that the fans as well should know that, listen, guys, they're not at the promised land yet. It just so happened that they were getting results early on and they had that brilliant second half against Mamelodi Sundowns. But how key is it that the fans as well must relax, basically?
Nabi is fortunate, and I'll tell you that because I've had a conversation with 2 players that have played for both Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs, and both of them agree on one thing: the fact that Sundown supporters instantaneously they'll blame their coach. Kaizer Chiefs supporters, if anything goes wrong, they blame players. So Nabi has that comfort to say, I won't get blamed easily. They'll be patient with me. They'll keep on criticizing the players, and sometimes it should be like that. So he has comfort in the fact that he has a bit of time. He's done what a lot of coaches have not done. A lot of previous Kaizer Chiefs coaches have not done. He started winning games that matter. He started challenging games that they were walkovers. I mean, you look at how they apply themselves against Sundowns, and you're like, there's something there. They know how to win these type of matches. Sundowns with, it was a small margin. So Nabi will have that. I take comfort in the fact that even Nabi doesn't win anything. The fact that Kaizer Chiefs supporters have switched on to the fact that we were 10th. And if this guy can put us third, this guy we can smell the promised land. We are there, we can taste it.
I wanted to touch on this one before I do go away, is the fact that he had a question that he was asked about a particular player. He was not happy at the fact that I think that to do with Mfundo Vilakazi having to start. And he said, yeah, but why don't you ask about Pule Modi? Why don't you ask about Mshini? Why don't you ask about those players? Now, Lekoko Mazas, South African journalism. If I had to ask you to rate it out of 10, where would you put that number? Because there were some people that were disappointed in the fact that even that question was asked. And some people maybe thought Nabi was being a little bit rude. Where do you stand on that situation?
Journalist, South African journalist, I have to stand on the ground, middle ground rather, on this one, because I've been in the press conference and I understand the type of environment that journalists are in. And I understand the type of challenges that journalists face, So it's a bit tough for me to give you my honest view in terms of this, because I do understand the dynamics that would force them to ask those type of questions. I was just saying jokingly, I find it I find it humorous, that Coach Nabi can be fluent in English when he's angry, but when he's not angry, then he needs a translator. Because now for me, when I'm angry, English data bundles they vanish. I cannot express myself. So Coach Nabi must stop this thing. He doesn't need a translator. Coach Nabi must just give us interview, because we are so used. The dialect, we're so used to it in South Africa. It makes perfect sense. He must not overthink it. So that question, perhaps it's a question that was sponsored by the fans and what it is that they think, because you also look at the young stars that have been playing. It's only natural that you ask that question.
No, which I understand that. And I must say, the last question that I have, you've already touched on it a little bit. Where's South African football for you right now? A lot of great things happening. You spoke about youngsters. Where would you say it is right now with regards to South African football?
I'd give it a 6. Okay, 6.5, bordering to 7. And I'll tell you this. The reason why is because of the small administrative issues. South African football, when the football is improving, the players are improving, the coaching is improving. But you look at the refereeing and you're like, hey, there's something that's not right there. You can't develop the game only for it to be played by the players, and you don't develop the custodians of the game, the people that are supposed to uphold the model and the principle of the game. And you also look at, I mentioned something yesterday, and a lot of people didn't understand this. The match ball that was used by Polokwane City yesterday, that's 2 seasons ago. You're like, what's that? And a lot of people don't take it into account. So I need a lot of people to start paying attention to this. For teams that don't have technical sponsors that will provide them with match balls, the league would then provide them with match balls. And that would be, if you look at it, it's the same match ball that Orlando Pirates uses. So most of the time, 99% of the time. So what does then that say about Polokwane City? Do they happen to be the only team that doesn't get those match balls? Yes, we might look at it and say, it's a trivial matter. It doesn't make any sense. But you are going to have to compete with leagues that have technical sponsors. You look at CAF now. One of the first things that they took care of was to bring a technical sponsor into the fray and have that. So we look at that and we take care of that, and we look at the administration. You look at the interaction of supporters. The reason why English teams can do bad, Manchester United can be the worst team ever, but they'll still be able to maintain a large pool of their supporters, because they're constantly they've mastered the game of connecting with their supporters. They've mastered the importance of their supporters. So I think if we can get there, if we can look at those things, then we sorted it out. Look at the Orlando Pirates match that just took place against Amazulu. Traveling to the stadium was hard, and it's not a once-off occurrence. You go there. I look back and I went to a match against Sundowns, Pirates Sundowns, the very same Orlando Stadium, and it was a logistical nightmare. I was practically 1.6 kilometers from the game, an hour and a half before kickoff, but I was late. So it's one of those things. That's where our league is. Our league in terms of football. We also have not announced what trophies people will be paying for. What's the check? Give us a mock-up, of the trophy. Those type of things. Take care of it. And I think those are the small margins that take away the points. They just take away the points from our league being a complete 8.5 or 9.
Oh man, and you summarized it really well, man. And I'm thinking about myself like, yeah, those are those things. If we get those right, the league could be so much better. But Lekoko, let me take this time to say thank you, man, for being a guest. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for all the help that you do for me as well. I know you're passionate, man. I looked at all of your bio and I just thought he just does football wire, this guy. Like that. That's all it is. That's it. Like
I made peace. I made peace in life the day I realized I think in football. That's it. So I think in football. My analogy of life is football.
My man, you were meant to be in this space, and we're happy that we found you in this space. And stay. Don't be going. We don't need you to go to sales or go to retail and clothes and all that. Or maybe in the football space you can, but I need you to stay in football. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you very much for having me, man. Anytime you need there. Baroka, shout out to you. Just a shout out. I'm in love of the game. Next time I'll be wearing a different jersey of the team. Yeah, so I just love this league, and I love collecting these jerseys. So yeah, shout out to I think the best league in the world to sort out the administration.
Of course. Hopefully we see you in a Chiefs jersey at the next interview.
Who knows? Who knows? Huh?
Here on this show, we have no fear, no favor, objective all the way. Players, coaches, we're watching all of you guys. This is Moegoe of the Week. The star of this weekend was quite obvious, came early on in the weekend. It was on a Friday, not a Saturday or a Sunday. It was Moegoe Mngqithi of Orlando Pirates. Guys, 19 years old, this player. Scored a brace for Orlando Pirates against AmaZulu, and another one from the Orlando Pirates youth development, right? And one thing I love about the PSL that's happening at this moment is that we're going young. They're starting to realize that the method is to go young. And he's one of the people that stood out for me this past weekend. The Moegoe has to go to the champions, has to go to the best team in the league. The Brazilians, they were up against Polokwane City this past weekend and they lost. Yes, losses do happen. There's no denying that. But it was this stat that I saw that I was like, Mamelodi Sundowns, the big-time players, the CAF Champions League winners from 2016. 11 shots to Polokwane City within this game and only one to Mamelodi Sundowns. You heard that right? They had all the ball possession and they managed in 90 minutes to get 0 shots on target. The quality side, they call themselves with Moegoe stats. And that is why they are the Moegoes of the week. Placing the right bets on the right games. Win big with Shakes from Rampedi on Bet of the Week. My bet slip this week consists of the Premier League and as well as La Liga. Let's go through the games, right? Newcastle going up against Arsenal. I've gone with a draw of Arsenal and over 1.5 goals. Bournemouth against Manchester City. Man City will find a way. Ipswich against Leicester. Both teams will score. Liverpool against Brighton. Over 2.5 goals. Valencia against Real Madrid. I've gone with Real Madrid to win that one. And the last one, Barcelona at home against Espanyol. I've gone with the handicap -1, meaning I'm giving Espanyol 1 goal ahead and still Barcelona will score 2 or more and win that game. And the odds for that bet slip is 12.11. That is like 12 times the money back. I mean, you look at that and it's obvious bets, and you also want to get in on the action with me. Because of course, I want you to win just like I must win. I'm not going to drop the link. I'm going to drop the booking code so that when you copy and paste it onto Betway, it gives you the exact bets that I have done. Doing the work just for you. Remember to practice responsible betting at betway.co.za. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's midweek and there's Betway Premiership action, and of course, I want to go watch, just like you want to go watch. But before we go rush out here to the game, I would like for you to like first, and you must subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified for future episodes.
Hey, Tola.
Alright, here we go.
Ko Betway ba tshepela hore o tshwantse o betjhe ka tsela e nepahetseng. Ka nako e nngwe o tlamehile hore o ikhule hanyane. Ka nako tse ding
O ska leka go busha tše di lahlegilego.
Nakusasa kuse olunye kusuku.
Dlala ngokusemandleni wakho.
Ge o tlhoka thušo go gona.
Awuhambi wedwa.
hopola, bet responsibly.